Thank you guys for tuning in to Call Me After 9. I'm your host, Adrian, and let's get right to it, folks. Yo, on Netflix, I just finished watching Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Whiteness. Okay? When will we stop thinking that tigers, lions, and bears are household pets? These are not to be kept in your backyard, folks. Okay, so here we have the main character, right? Joe Exotic. Now, Joe Exotic happens to be a country hillbilly. I'm talking about a straight doot doot, but you can't win. Greasy neck back, mullet wearing, sexy gay queen who owns this roadside zoo of about 200 plus exotic animals. And folks was coming from all over to take pictures with these animals, with lions and tigers and baby cubs and stuff. Y'all, folks, listen up. Let me tell you something. These animals, they ain't your friend. They don't know the phrase, fish are friends and not food. Okay, they being sneaky, and as soon as you let your guard down, they're gonna snatch your ass up for a nice little snack. You're like, why do y'all feel like y'all can have an agreement with these tigers? These tigers don't care. You are food to them. Y'all saw what happened to the little lesbian girl when she put her hand in the cage. That tiger ripped her arm off. Now she walking around with a nub or a strap on, as she would put it. So Joe Exotic married two guys, right? Travis, and I forgot who the other little boy was, but he was important to this story as well. Mind you, this man was like over a decade, these people senior, which is all good. Marry who you want to marry. But I mean, they married in like this trouble kind of relationship. You know how these trouples be doing. And Joe's little husbands, they were talking about no, I'm straight. I've dated women all the way up to the point of Joe. Well, how did you let this greasy, slick back country bumpkin convince you to marry him? Okay, you straight up gay. Moving on. So live your truth, pumpkin juice. Now, a lot of y'all who's probably seen this don't like Joe Exotic. I get it. Joe Exotic had these animals in the cages. He was treating these animals any kind of way. But from what I saw, it looked like he loved these animals. Now, who I can't stand is Carole. Oh, ain't nothing worse than somebody who want to jump down somebody else's throat while they do the same thing. If that's not the kettle calling the kettle black. Now let me describe Miss Carole to you. Now Miss Carole is like that girl's mom in high school who has to be over the parent teacher board, and she swears she makes the best chocolate chip cookies, and she always knows the best thing to do for her daughter Karen, because she knows what's best for Karen. And she read once that Martha Stewart said, girl, bye. Carole, you doing the same thing. You got these lions, tigers, and bears in your backyard as well, and you keeping them in cages, and you making a profit off of them as well. So you ain't doing no better. You know what I mean? So all these foods is crazy. These folks is pure banana, pure bats, okay? They've gone pure bats. Wuhan. Now, Carole, she was on a mission. She was going to bring the end to Joe Exotic if that meant to end her own life. I'm like, I don't know what this vendetta you have against this man, because yeah, he has these animals in cages, but you doing the same thing, boo. So at one point, this whole battle between Carole and Joe Exotic just took a turn down messy lane. I mean, Joe was giving her death threats. There was points where Joe had mannequins and he was putting dynamite on these mannequins. He was shooting these mannequins. And he used to have his live show, right? So he would go on there calling Carole by her name, saying, he gonna put a bullet between her eyes and everything. And then to get at her, because Carole had the Big Cat Rescue website. So what he did is made a big cat rescue entertainment website and used some of their logos and they fonts or whatever. So, Carole hit him with a lawsuit. Woo! When she won that lawsuit, she took all that man was. And Carole was ruthless about it too. I mean, she got down to, she said, I want where your mammy stay, you heard? She wanted his mama's house from underneath her mama. And then when they showed this video of his poor frail mama sitting here pleading for help on GoFundMe because here Carole done came and snuck the rug up from underneath this woman's feet. Now, not only does Miss Carole have these same animals in cages and allowing people to take pictures and making profit over these pictures just like Joe Exotic is doing, but Carole got a messy past of her own, folks. Let me tell you. So Carole was married to this multi-million-dollar man, right? I mean, Mr. Warbucks. But supposedly, Mr. Warbucks didn't like her spending all his money, all his coin. So, that don't sit right with Carole too well. So, they would get into arguments and stuff. And I think there came a point, because this man had left his wife for Miss Carole, who was also like 15 years younger than he was. I'm seeing a trend here, y'all. Pay attention to the red flags. Anyways, so, their marriage wasn't doing well. And so her husband was telling everyone that he was planning to leave Carole because he felt unsafe. This crazy soccer mom who bakes the best chocolate chip cookies, as she says, had this man fearful of his life. So, he was going to go to Puerto Rico, I believe. It was like Puerto Rico or Costa Rica, someplace like that. Because, he had a little side chick down there, a little Spanish mommy that was keeping him right. So he was getting ready to, go on a trip there. And all of a sudden he comes up missing. Carole's story that she loved to stick with, and she's been sticking with it since this man went missing, was all he said was he had a flight early. And he ended up in that tiger's tummy. I don't care what anybody say. Carole killed that man and fed him to the tigers. Period, point blank. She knew what she was doing, and she had some people help her out. Whoever was a part of that little code of big cat rescue, okay, they killed that man and they fed him to the cat. And she killed that man, because even O.J. Simpson, he got his ass on the internet and wanted to say something about the, I'm just going to play the clip.
White people, what's with you and wild animals? Leave them animals alone. The show is crazy, but it's so crazy you kind of keep watching. One thing I will say, there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that lady's husband is tiger sashimi right now.
Now, first off, O.J. Simpson, he talking about some white people. Leave them yo people, okay? Let's not forget your case. Now, if O.J. Simpson, folks, is telling y'all that this woman had this man killed and fed to the tigers, believe this man, okay? So after, he loses this lawsuit, Joe Exotic loses this lawsuit, along comes Jeff Lowe in the picture. Now, Jeff Lowe, you should trust just as much as you would trust dingy car salesman in deep Brooklyn who has nothing but junk cars in the lot and wants to sell you something for under the price of $975. Yeah, okay. What operation are we really running here, Jeff? Because Jeff was the hot boy of exotic animals. He had the tigers, the lions, the bears. He would take them on the road. This is how he would get girls to come to him. This is how he got his wife to come to him, was through, these tigers and stuff. And he would do swinger parties. He would do coke. I mean, they all was on coke. They all was on meth. And Carole was on angel dust, I believe. Y'all listening probably saying, Well, Adrian, just because Jeff Lowe is a playboy and on drugs don't make him a bad car salesman. No, watch the show and you'll see. He came in there with a plan to take over Joe Exotic Zoo. And he succeeded, y'all, because he came in there with money and Joe ain't have not a dime to his name to rub together. And unfortunately, he lost one of his husbands in a terrible accident. So Joe was looking for any kind of out fix, and along comes this Jeff Lowe who says he's going to help him against Carole. If you say you can help Joe with Carole, that's like telling a crackhead that you're going to start a buy one, get one deal. They in for it. So, Jeff says he's going to help Joe with this little situation, who happens to be Carole. And, now they're partners. Now, all of a sudden, Jeff has taken over the whole zoo. Now has kicked Joe off the zoo. Now Joe is, running for his life. Oh, y'all. Joe, when he lost one of his first husbands, he remarried another boy who was like 15 years younger than him, y'all. Again, let's pay attention to the red flags. Okay, I'm getting ready to start just keeping eyes on anybody who say they want to own a big cat. Okay, Jeff is another one. Jeff, at the end of the show, fast forwarding, they show that his wife is pregnant, and then they were talking about a nanny, and then when they showed the nanny, again, another young girl, hot, he's like, I mean, if we should get a nanny, she should be a hot one, right? Yikes. I do understand. This is a huge problem, keeping these animals in cages. Like I said at the beginning, folks, listen up. These big cats are not our friends nor our household pets, okay? There are 5,000 to 10,000 tigers in captive here in the United States. And in the wild, there's less than 4,000 tigers still remaining in the wild. I feel like I'm naive to a lot of things. So I didn't even know that of course I knew we sold animals and stuff, but I didn't know y'all was out here clowning like this, embezzlement and mistreatment. I'm thinking all this about to be is just, selling and trading tigers. How we out here embezzling, and now, the whole thing that really got Joe Exotic, on lockdown or whatever was not only did he euthanize some of his tigers, which was terrible, he also, put a hit out on Carole. Now, I get it. Him and Carole had their things, but now we killing people over some tigers, boy. Like, how did we get to this point? He done made a whole plan to, kill this woman. And that is what led to this man's arrest. So this man was sentenced, he was found guilty on 20 counts. A good chunk of those counts were for the tigers that he euthanized from, selling of these animals. So, he was in a lot of hot water, and adding on that last layer of, his putting a hit out on her, that was it. He was found guilty and, sentenced to 22 years for what he did. Why does money make people do so much evil? I just don't get it. I'm like, how did we get to this point? Everyone was like, you must see Tiger King. You must see Tiger King. I'm like, I wouldn't say it's a must watch, but if you have nothing else to watch and you're just chilling, I would say, watch it, because it's a lot of it's just crazy shenanigans going on. What are we doing, folks? These people live lives so different from some of you in our lives that I'm just like, what all is really happening here? Focus, people, focus. Thank you all for tuning in to a quick episode of Call Me After 9. Again, I'm your host, Adrian, and until next time.